America promised that when the Soviet Union was defeated, that they would help the Mujahideen rebuild Afghanistan. But America is not interested in building any nation that will be true to Islam. So once the Soviet Union was defeated, America backed out on its promise. The Soviet Union collapsed, and America became the only power in a unipolar world.
I have come across another video from Minister Louis Farrakhan, a very controversial video. I want us to watch this video. I will be back.
Afghanistan. How did we get involved in Afghanistan? Did you know that Osama bin Laden was paid by the CIA? You didn't know? You didn't know? Well, let's just get a little talk of it. See, Afghanistan is a Muslim country, and socialists and communists had started ruling Afghanistan. So the Muslims now, this is a period of Islamic revival all over the world. And the Muslims are rising up to come back to the pristine purity of the faith. So when the Muslims rise, they challenge a socialist government. This happened in Egypt under Gamal Abdel Nasser, who was a socialist, but the Islamic Brotherhood wanted to return Egypt to Islam in its purest form. This is going on all over the Middle East now. So most of the moderate, in quotes, moderate Muslim leaders, they're all in trouble because the masses are rising and they want Islam, but they want it in its pure form. So the Muslims started rising in Afghanistan, and the Soviet Union did not want the Muslims to destabilize the socialist government, so they sent their troops in to take over Afghanistan. Enter Osama bin Laden. I don't remember who was with me when I was in Pakistan, in Islamabad, and I met with President Zia-ul-Haq. And I went into Peshawar, where the Mujahideen were, and we met with the leaders of the Mujahideen. Mujahid, it means a struggler, a person involved in a jihad or an intense struggle for God. For God. The Mujahideen that we met in Peshawar were fighting the Russians or the Soviet Union in Afghanistan. The United States said, well, we are God-fearing, Satan talking. And you Muslims are God-fearing, and the Soviet Union is godless. So let's back the Mujahideen. So the CIA funneled money, weapons, information to the Mujahideen. And those are ancient warriors. And they whipped the Soviet Union. And we could see the Soviets taking their tanks and getting out of there. But what happened, America promised that when the Soviet Union was defeated, that they would help the Mujahideen rebuild Afghanistan. But America is not interested in building any nation that will be true to Islam. So once the Soviet Union was defeated, America backed out on its promise. The Soviet Union collapsed, and America became the only power in a unipolar world. Osama mad as hell. The Mujahideen mad as hell. So a civil war broke out in Afghanistan between the warlords who controlled the poppy, the heroin traffic, you that snort and you that shoot up. Most of your heroin coming out of Afghanistan. So the Taliban arose in a civil war, and they win and conquer Afghanistan, cut off the poppy. Now, let me tell you, did you know it ain't got nothing to do with the Taliban and women wearing burqas? This thing that covered a woman all up. America acting like she's defending women. When you walk in the street with your behind out, ain't a damn soul saying nothing to you. But you gonna defend women in Afghanistan who cover, and you are uncovering your woman, making her look like a prostitute. Ain't nobody saying nothing to you. He's not a defender of the modesty of women. He used that as an argument to sway the American people against the quote-unquote Taliban. You know what the word Talib means? It means student. Taliban, the students of Allah, students of His word, students of His prophet, students of His way. They don't want nothing but God's way. That's the war that's going on in the world today. Is if you want to obey God, over here. If you want to keep doing the mess that you're doing over here, and God intend to kill, you did not hear me, because you're not making no out of the real God. He will wipe you from the face of the earth if you don't get your act together. Now, damn it, He ain't playing with you. So America saw They wanted to build an 876-mile pipeline from Turkmenistan through Afghanistan to Pakistan to the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea. They sent for the Taliban. They weren't talking about no burqas. They met in Texas in 1997. Unocal, a Houston-based company bidding to build the pipeline, of which your former Vice President Cheney is a stockholder. You know, damn it, you know, what angers the hell out of me is the damn punctified preachers and leaders who know the truth but won't speak it for fear that something bad is going to happen to them. If you know the truth, speak it. And if you gotta die, damn it, die on the truth that you're a man enough to speak. All right, I'm almost there. They invited the Taliban to visit them and government officials in Texas. And dressed in traditional garb, the high-ranking delegation was given VIP treatment during the four-day stay. So don't look at VIP treatment by your former slave masters and their children as some kind of sign now that they have changed. If you keep that teaching in your head as you deal with your former slave masters and their children, they won't be able to deceive you. But if you ever forget and begin to think that your 400-year-old enemy under the trick called integration has now become your friend, if you ever lose your knowledge, then the enemy will deceive us again. Can the devil fool a Muslim? Really? Some of you are already deceived. Some of you waving flags. You think this country has changed because you got a black man up there? Talk to me. Has the ghetto life changed because you got a black president? Are the police still profiling and killing? Is the gang still banging and cocaine and heroin still selling? Don't you deceive yourself and allow this euphoria to blind you to everyday reality of black suffering in America. Barack Obama can't heal it by himself. He's put his enemies around him. and they gave him the most armored vehicle of any president in the history. And he's gotten more threats on his life than all the presidents and presidential hopefuls combined. Do you think they're happy to see Michelle in the White House, directing the kitchen, first lady of a racist empire? Do you think you're living in a post-racial America? If you do, you are one of those that Satan has deceived. So when they talked with the Taliban, it wasn't about the misuse of women, it was about a pipeline. And some French writers reported that members of the Bush administration said this to the Taliban in July 2001. Either you accept a carpet of gold or a carpet of bombs. When the Taliban refused, 9/11 gave the Bush administration and the neoconservatives the excuse to attack Muslims in the name of fighting terrorism. The leader of the Taliban was Mullah Omar, and Bush asked him, turn over. Osama bin Laden. Mullah Omar is a Muslim. He said to Bush, send me the proof that he and his so-called Al-Qaeda were responsible for 9/11, and I will turn him over to you. That's our way. Just because you're the president of the United States. See, you don't order a Muslim. You can order a sissy that pretends to be a Muslim, but you can't give orders to a Muslim who obeys God. The Quran says, when one is accused, you have to bring the evidence. I'll be glad to turn him over to you. He's in our country. But bring the proof. You ain't heard no proof yet. And they haven't been able to find bin Laden. Osama been forgotten. Now, Pakistan is upset. It's in bad shape. But the Muslims are rising. Pakistan has nuclear weapons. India, Pakistan's enemy, has nuclear weapons. China, India's enemy, has nuclear weapons. So there have been border clashes between China and India, India and Pakistan through Kashmir. But America don't mind India having atomic weapons, but not Pakistan. And they're worried now because the Muslim Islamists, militants, are rising. Boy. And they fear that if they come to power with an atomic nuclear weapons stockpile, they ain't gonna do nothing. They ain't gonna do nothing. They're crazy as hell, but they ain't that crazy. Within 20 seconds, 30 seconds, one send one over to India, another one send right back. So it's suicide. That's what forces people to come to a negotiating table. We call it détente with Russia and America because both of them have the nuclear power to destroy one another. So let's sit down and talk. But Israel, she is a nuclear power in the world and the only real nuclear power in the Middle East. I have a document here from Press TV. An ex-official of Israel says Israel can hardly wait to attack Iran. Tel Aviv has by no means shelved its plans to strike the Iranian nuclear infrastructure, says a former Israeli envoy to the United Nations. The envoy is Mr. Dan Gillerman, former Israeli UN ambassador. And he said Tel Aviv could not afford to wait any longer for diplomatic efforts to curb Iran's uranium enrichment program, adding that it was preparing a military offensive against the country. Now, I heard Barack Obama, when he went before AIPAC, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, he declared that he would, destroy Iran if they attacked Israel. And I think that was when he was running, and Hillary Clinton went before the same committee and said she would wipe Iran from the face of the earth. Now, that's his Secretary of State.
Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Now, the country is spoiling for a war with Iran. Iran is not Iraq. And if they had trouble in Lebanon with the Hezbollah, and they had trouble in Gaza with Hamas, they should let that be a lesson. Because when you're dealing with Iran, you're dealing with an entirely different Muslim nation. Does Iran have the right to develop her nuclear knowledge to build that which will cause her not to be able to depend on oil, but power generating, nuclear power generated source of energy? does Iran have that right under international law? What's the answer? Yes. Iran is a signer of the non-nuclear, non-proliferation treaty. Israel is not. Even if Iran developed a nuclear weapon, what's she going to do with it? See, my brother and friend Muammar Gaddafi, he had nuclear stuff over there, and he was working on it. I mean, he was working on it, and he gave it up. And he said, well, what were we going to do with it? If he threw a nuclear weapon at Israel, the response would be so overwhelming that there'd be no more Libya. He was smart. You can have it. We don't need it. Let's have good relations. That's pretty good. Iran says, we're not breaking any law. We're going to build nuclear energy producing facilities in our country. And if Israel or America attacks, we have something for them both. I don't know what they got. I don't know what they have. But I know this. You got this hawkish prime minister forming a government in Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. And his mind is, I don't care nothing about America. I'm going to do what I think I need to do to protect Israel. So if Obama hasn't been to Walmart, that's an inside joke. It's just that Walmart is selling everything, and they might have a corner where they're selling used testicles. Damn it, if you don't have the testicular fortitude to use the leverage that America has to rein in the hawks in Israel, then Israel will create a war that will lead America to her destruction. I'm going to close with this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, America will not win another war. I'm going to say it again. Why are you talking like this, Farrakhan? Because I don't know how much time I got. And I can't waste time. But you'll never be able to say that I did not warn you of what America is facing and what you are facing. If it cost me my life, I was born to die. But I intend to choose not the method or the way by which I die, but the state of mind that I will be in. This Quran says, die not unless you die in faith, die in submission to the will of God. I believe that that's exactly what I'm preaching, the will of God. And you that don't see America at the bar of judgment, trying to make friends with God's enemy. Then you go ahead. She will not win another war. And foreign wars and the plagues that are hitting America and the world is destroying the American economy and the American way of life. Come out of her. That's what John the Revelator said, come out. Well, where you going? It don't mean go here, go there. It means come out of the way of life that you are living under the guidance of an enemy of God. You can come out of that. You can stop doing the thing that you're doing that makes you an enemy of God. Come out of her, my people, the book says, and be ye not partakers of her sins and her plagues, for her sins have reached unto heaven. As Jesus knew he was about to go, he called his disciples and he asked them, who do they say I, the Son of Man, is? He didn't say Son of God. He said, who do they, the people, say that I, the Son of Man, am? Who do they say I am? And the people said, well, they say you are that prophet, Isaiah, Elijah, and he named some other prophets. And then Jesus asked the disciples, who do you say I am? And Peter, speaking for the disciples, said, thou art Jesus, the Christ, the Son of the living God. That's the first time Son of God was mentioned. Never in this Quran does Allah admit to having a son. So how do we reconcile what the Bible is saying to what Allah says in the Quran? Jesus looked at Peter and said, flesh and blood did not reveal this to you. That's significant. No man told you this. I didn't tell you this. Flesh and blood never revealed it to you. And then he said, go and tell no man who you just said I am. He didn't say that, but that's what it meant. Don't tell nobody. Then he looked at Peter and he said, Simon, Bar Jonah, thou art Peter. From the Latin Petros, meaning rock. And then he said to Peter, on this rock I build my, not church. He's not interested in no church. On this rock I build a called out community, a nation. And the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Last week, I mentioned Jonah because he went to the people of Nineveh and they submitted, and the judgment was lifted from them. And Jesus said, this wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, but no sign will be given to you except the sign of Jonah. As Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights, so shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth. See, America could be healed. That's painful to a black man to know that this country did us like this, and God could take his punishment off of America and white folks for the evil that they have done. Babylon could have been healed, but she was not. America, too, could escape the wrath of God if she changes. And last week I said change is another word for repent. You don't change a policy for practical reasons. You change it because it was wrong and it brought the wrong results. So if you change your policy toward Iran, toward the Muslim world, it's because you realize that what you've done was wrong. If you change your policy toward Mexico, toward Central and South America, toward Africa, toward Asia, you don't change it just for political purposes. You change it because your policy was wrong and it didn't bring the right results. President Obama said when he introduced Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of Defense Gates, Geithner, and members of his cabinet, he said, they will carry out my vision. They were trying to question him as to why he would put his enemies in, and he said, well, it's my policy, it's my vision. They will carry out my vision. Those are big words. And if you know the nature of the people that he's dealing with, the question is, will they submit to his vision for America? He wants a non-racial America. No. That's not bad. That's good. If he and they and we could produce an America where all of us, regardless of race, ethnicity, or religious differences, could be brothers and sisters to one another, wouldn't America be a great place to live? But some things you have to give up in order to produce something like that. Well, Muslims, see, if you understand that the messenger said that black was not national, it was universal, you really don't understand what Master Farad Muhammad brought to him unless you can put it in universal terms. If we don't know how to do that and we're sticking to a blackness that was a medicine that healed our condition of black inferiority, but if you're going to hold it to the point where you can't recognize good in others, and you start judging by the color of a person's skin rather than looking deeper, if we can't grow to see what this book, Quran, and what Jesus the Messiah wanted to bring into existence, where with Jesus saying, no Jew, no Greek, no male, no female, no bond, no free, all become one in him. If we can't grow to that, then we are not with the Messiah or the Mahdi. This book, Quran, is not about black and white. This Quran is about wrong and right. And if we cannot embrace what is right over our color, yes, I'm your brother, I'm black, we the same people, does that mean I'm really your brother? I got potential. But Jesus didn't play that. He said, your brother is outside. He wants to speak with you, meet with you. Jesus said, my brother is in the temple with me. And my mother. See, disbelief is not the brother of belief. Faith is not the brother of faithlessness. Right is not the brother of wrong. So we can be from the same mother. But if you want to choose wrong over right, and another member of the family will choose right over wrong, the family is split. That's why the master said 2 of you will be laying in the same bed. You can't get no closer than that. But I'm going to take one and leave the other. So your brotherhood is not because you share the same bed. 2 will be grinding at the mill. It don't mean having sex at the mill. It means they're engaged in the same work of grinding wheat into flour. But because we're in the same work, it don't mean that we're going in the same direction. So everybody is in the valley of decision. The Jesus that I'm talking about said, don't think that I came to bring peace. Nay, a sword. I came to set the mother-in-law at variance with the daughter-in-law, and they of a man's own household will be his worst enemy. You don't have an enemy until one comes out of your loins, one comes out of your bed. So I thank you all for indulging with me today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening. And may Allah grant you the light of understanding as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Another great video from Minister Louis Farrakhan, and as I always say that whatever Minister Louis Farrakhan said it years ago is still happening today. There are still ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. There are still war happening between Israel and Palestinian, which is taking place in Gaza. There are still a lot of war that Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about years back, and is still happening. And the mission is still the same. The idea behind the war is still the same. So we are still going rounds. So it's better we understand the nature we find ourselves, the world we find ourselves, and find our way to go around it, because things are the same. Things are still the same. The mission is still the same. The manner they try to indoctrinate us to believe in certain things are still the same. Blacks are still being discriminated after centuries of slavery. Blacks are still facing systemic racism after centuries of slavery. So they have just changed the face of slavery. They have changed the face of the war. But the idea behind it, the mission is still the same. Nothing has changed it. Whatever you do to please them, you are still not going to be liked. You are still going to face discrimination. You are still going to face racism around the world, because those who did that against us, their children are continuing the same legacy. That's why we have slavery legacy or slave legacy that has been left in most of our countries to make sure they suppressed us through a whole lot of things. I know you have loved it and you have gotten the message, and it is also helping liberating your mindset. Please join my Telegram group by going to the description box, click on the Telegram link. It will take you straight to the platform. Join us for us to talk about the well-being of Africa and Africans in diaspora. And if today is your first time coming here, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. I'm always your guy, De-Graft Amoako. Thanks for watching.